the third exponential equation, and this one they just give you an equation and no real context, and they say A is a point on the graph, and they want you to find the coordinate of A. So right away, A being on the y-axis, we know part of the coordinate already, and that is that x is going to be 0. And so basically I need to figure out the y value, and they want me to find the y coordinate. So I'll substitute into the equation for x, and I have 1.25 minus a to the negative 0, which is just 0. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. So 1.25 minus 1 is 0.25. Then once you find the y coordinate, you can leave it at that. I wrote down the full coordinate as 0 and 0.25. You won't be marked down for that. Then we move on to part B, where they want you to calculate the value of A, and they tell you that the 0.21 lies on the graph. And what's that mean? That means that somewhere on this graph is the 0.21. How's that going to help me? Well, they want me to calculate the value of A, and as you've heard me say before, if that's what's missing, then everything else we should be able to replace. And so our f of x is 1, the value of the function is 1, when x is 2, so we have a to the negative 2. That negative sign sticks in front. And now we're just going to have some fun and do some algebra. So the first thing I'll do is rearrange this, get a by itself, and I don't like that negative a. So I'm going to move it over to the other side by adding and subtract the 1. So I have positive a to the negative 2 equals 1.25 minus 1. So that's just 0.25. What's a negative exponent mean? This is a bit of a review and refresher. A negative exponent means that it is 1 over. And now I can write it as a positive exponent as 0.25. And why did I want to do that? Well, to make my exponent positive. From there, we can move up here, and we know that basically I'm going to cross multiply by the a squared to move it over, and now divide by the 0.25. So I have a squared on its own, not in the numerator, but not the denominator, but on top. And the square root of 0.25 is equal to a, because I'm undoing the square, and that does not equal 4. It's 1/4, or sorry, it's the square root of 4, and that is going to be 2. So in my calculator, when I calculate that, I will get the answer of 2, which is A. And you're thinking, that's a lot of work for 2 marks, which is true. So there's probably an easier way, and we'll get to that in a second. There must be an easier way, and of course there is. And so again, we are looking for the value of A, and I'll go to my calculator. And one thing to realize is when we plug things into the calculator, the variable is going to be x. So when I type this in, I have 1.25 minus x to the negative 2, because I can't type in a. That's the way the calculator works. And then when I go to the table, what I'm looking for is when is the y value equal to 1. So if I start to go down, and I was already on it, but the y value is 1 when a, or the x value, is 2. And so we come up with a equaling 2 that way. Obviously, much shorter, quicker than doing out the full algebra method, but it's always good to do a little algebra whenever you can. And finally, the last part, C, they want you to write down the equation of L. And if we go back up to our formula, we can see it's 1.25 minus a to the negative x. And so we're always going to be subtracting a little bit, which makes 1.25 the asymptote. And so our equation for L, y equals 1.25.